Lady Ashlyn. Today I'm going to show you some exercises that can help you get better at Buhurt. So today I'm going to be using my arming sword. This is a pro fight specific sword. It's actually from Medieval Extreme, so I'll put the picture of it and the link below of the exact sword that it is. And then I also have a Medieval Extreme punch shield that I'm going to be practicing with for this. You do not need these exact weapons, but they help me and they're the ones that I use every time that I fight. So I am using like an arming sword, pro fight sword, but you can use axes, maces, whatever you're practicing with. This is just kind of more sword specific. I'm going to be teaching you about 4 exercises today that you can get started with. These are really great to do when you're not at practice to help you get more comfortable with using a sword and to also build your endurance, because these, even though they're only about 3 pounds, get very heavy and they start to feel like 30 pounds after you fight with it for like 5 minutes. So this is really good to help you get those movement downs and to kind of figure out what your fighting style is so that, you know, when you go to fight, you have a little bit more comfortability with that. So the first exercise that I was ever taught is something called Around the World. And so we're going to imagine this is a person in front of us, or if I was this Pell, there's a head shot on both sides, a rib shot on both sides, and then like a leg shot on both sides. So I'm going to try to aim for someone that's probably going to be about my height. If you need to practice on someone that's a little bit bigger, you can aim a little bit higher. But I typically fight in my weight class and people typically are about my size. So I like to practice that way. So we're going to put all of those different spots into numbers on our Pell. So right here at the head, this is 1. We got 1, 2 at the rib, 3 down here, 4 on the other side, 5 on the other rib, and 6 on the head. And then if you want to, you can add 0, which is clocked right in the noggin. So the goal of this is to go around the whole world. And the more you practice, you'll eventually be able to do it all in one go. I can't say that I can't because it gets very tiring after a little bit. But I will just demonstrate how you go around the world. So you hit 1, and you hit it again. 1, 1. Then you go 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4, 1, 5, 1, 6. And you do that for every single number. So then you start 2, 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, 2, 4, 2, 5, 2, 6. And you just keep doing that all the way around. The second exercise is kind of a play off of this. All of the exercises are a play off of this. So if you've got this one down, you can do the other ones. The other one is just reverse. So you start at 6. So it's 6, 6, 6, 5, 6, 4, 6, 3, 6, 2, 6, and pretty much, we're just trying to get that flow work done. So as you're going through them, you're going to get more comfortable with pulling your sword from different points on the body. I will say some important notes while we're doing stuff like this, is you'll notice that my sword leg is always forward. We do this, it's not necessarily like when you're actually in a live fight that you have to have your sword leg forward all the time, but it is better practice. So it was a little bit hard for me to learn this because I started with stand-up boxing, and with that you have your left leg forward because this is your just like a little strike, and then this one's like your big hit. So it was a little hard for me to get used to that. But the reasoning is, if I'm looking at this Pell, if I have my other leg forward, I have to do a lot of movement to really get that sword arm forward into my Pell. Whereas if I have this, it's just right here, clock it. Really, really fast. Whereas this is like I'm using a lot more endurance and oomph to get my sword all the way to that Pell. Another thing that you want to keep in mind is how we are hitting the Pell. So this is also something that I still struggle with. When I start to get tired, I get a little sloppy with my technique. But the way that you want to hit a Pell or hit a person when you're using a sword is not like you're hitting someone with a baseball bat. So that's something we really commonly see in newer fighters, is that they just like swing their whole arm at this Pell. And that takes a lot of energy. Like, it's just not very much technique. It's more like strength. And so what we recommend instead is, someone has told me this, I think it was Heather Sanner. She told me to imagine that you're flicking a fishing rod. So we want a lot of wrist movement, and this is something that I try to work on consistently. Like, I'll just do rounds of really slow flicking of my wrist, because when I do get sloppy, I just bam, and that just makes you more tired. So I'll show you the difference of what I'm trying to say. So if I just hit it like a baseball bat, I'm like throwing my whole arm into it, and I'm like winding back, really trying to get it. Now, I'm not saying if you look back at any of my fights that I'm not doing this, because I definitely am. But ideally, you want to flick. This is a lot more of my wrist. You can even see that my arm really isn't moving all that much. It's just kind of extending a little bit, whereas I'm not reaching around and trying to hit it. That was a fun little exercise that the guy that's helping me train has me do, is he'll have me stick my elbows right to my hips, and I can't move them at all. And so we're just like fighting like this, just to get used to not winding back really bad. Because another thing I struggle with is being very predictable. And so my body tells a lot of what I'm doing while I'm fighting. And so we're training on keeping a neutral body stance, just so that I'm not revealing what I'm doing all the time. So there's 2 more exercises that I have. And these ones are kind of to help you establish some combos, kind of feeling out what feels best for you. So there's 2 different versions, but this is going to be involving punching. So if you're in more of the pro fighting sphere and want to punch things, this will be helpful. So I like doing this one. Pretty much there's 2 of them. There's hit, we're just gonna call it hit, punch. And then there's hit, punch, hit. And so you can go around the world, and while you're doing those, and it kind of helps you feel like, oh, I really don't like punching after I do this combo. Like, it just doesn't feel very good. So I'll do an example. So this is the hit, punch. So we'll do 1, 1, punch, 1, 2, punch, 1, 3, punch, and you pretty much go around the world. But then there's also the 1, punch, 1, and this can help too. It's making me think about how it can help with if you want to get into, what is it called? Let me explain first by saying, like, when you're fighting, you're kind of engaging. So an engagement, that's the word I was thinking of. You're engaging and you're disengaging, usually. Unless your person is very aggressive, then it's always an engagement. But usually it's kind of like a dance where you're engaging and then you guys break apart. You think about it a little bit, and then you engage and then you break apart. So this is kind of good. The second one, pretty good for learning how to disengage. So if I'm hitting 1 and then I punch, I can move my body back and I can get out of there really quick. So it's kind of playing around with that, kind of getting a feel for like, oh, now I'm seeing that that could be a really good disengagement. Like, that feels very comfortable for me, because it's like you're hitting someone, getting some points on someone. They're a little taken aback because they got punched in the face, and then you can hit them on another one and get out of there. So that's pretty cool. But once again, this is your 4th exercise, so you'll just go around and I'll do like 1, punch, 2, 1, punch, 3. There's also really fun, I can't remember if it's in both Buhurt International and AMMA or what, But you can punch with your sword arm. I'm pretty sure that's allowed in all of them. So that's another fun combo that you can play around with, is maybe like hitting like a 4 punching and then another punch. So you can practice that too. And then when you do these enough, you're gonna feel more comfortable using your sword. And so you can do just rounds of practicing your endurance. So I like to do, for starters, 30 seconds on, a minute off. Then you can do like a minute on and then a minute off. And you can do a minute and 30 on and a minute off. I like to work up to where I'm doing more than what I'm fighting. So like when I was doing, when I did my first exhibition for MMA, I would practice a minute and 30 because that's a lot. And also to keep in mind, like if you're doing like a minute and you're like, man, this really sucks. Like this is exhausting. It is in fight too. So that is something to keep in mind because you're definitely fighting multiple people. But also, I do a lot of grappling. And so when I do sword work for a whole minute, that's a lot more sword work than I usually do in an actual fight. So keeping that in mind, not being too hard on yourself. I also try to remember to get better 1% every day. It's because I get really hard on myself and I'm like, I'm fighting the same people, I'm doing the exact same, and I'm not getting any better. But then I'm like, okay, wait, let's take a step back. I'm getting 1% better every day. I'm showing up, I'm doing the stuff. That's what matters. So I might not be the best, but I am trying and I am getting better. So hopefully you guys can get better too, and you can take some of these exercises and implement them in your training. So thank you all so much. And if you have any questions, let me know below, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye.